Got a meatball on my head.
I had meatballs for dinner. It's a theme. I love it. Ooh. Kaila, what are you doing? Good lord! Oh my god! Hey everybody, thanks for joining us back on the podcast. We're here with another guest, lifelong friend and personal pirate mermaid, Kaila.
Woo!
Hello.
Woo! Everyone hit your vape. Mildred's like,
unfortunately, all I she's like, what is this? Is there a fire? Oh man.
No.
Things have been crazy lately, man. We had a hailstorm last night. I had to look for damage in our fence. It was ridiculous.
there's the boat that's stuck in the Suez Canal.
Yeah. It's just,
I wish every Suez Canal ever given.
I mean, it's still stuck, right?
yeah, Andrew keeps checking that the boat traffic app every 5 seconds and going, it's still stuck. It's still stuck.
I just this is horrible to say, but I wish Trump was on Twitter right now. Because I want to know what he would have to say. Like, I could fix that.
I would never. This didn't happen when I was president. I think it's very telling of Biden.
Our ships are huge, and they can get through small channels because small channels. Buy my Trump hats. Thank
Buy
you.
my Trump hat.
Yeah, and I mean, I wish Biden could help out, but instead they're all taking selfies around the White House. So,
look at us ignoring you guys.
no, if you've seen it, it's just him and Kamala Harris every 2 minutes, and it's just them walking in a different part of the White House, and they're like, "We're getting it done," and it's just
our daily walk. You're getting our steps. That's what are you getting done? That is wild. I was literally telling Andrew. At first, I said, "Why don't they take the Suez Canal and push it somewhere else?" But after that, I said, "Okay, Andrew, get a crane on either side. And how come you can't just, And that's actually how they're going to fix it. They're digging out some of the wall.
That's what I was gonna say. They should just dig the wall because that's how it was built anyway, right?
I have no idea. Probably.
Because that's not a natural canal.
No, they made it so they wouldn't have to go around the Horn of Africa. But now they're having to go around the Horn of Africa.
Apparently, during its construction,
oh wait, Allison,
thousands.
I think Kayla's frozen and has been frozen.
Oh, that's scary. I like it.
God, that's terrifying.
That needs to be a reaction of some. Kaila, snap out of it.
she said her laptop died.
Hey, you guys, am I here? Am I frozen?
Your screen is frozen still, but we can hear you now.
Watch, I'm gonna do this.
Whoa.
Oh wait,
boxes. Loading boxes.
Wait for the sun.
I can see you. Oh, Lord. It's the ring light. Attack of the ring lights. Now Allison's frozen on my end. Oh, now you're back. Now you're back. Okay. Now you're back.
I'm freaking not.
You're gonna. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay. Anyway, there's a big boat in a tiny canal. That was a discussion.
Big boat, tiny canal.
Hey! I love that. That's the E-boy that...
Run. Backwards.
What are you...
The backwards.
Jake Paul looking ass. Oh my god, no! I hate it. That's the scariest thing we've ever done on this podcast. Is emulate an E-boy.
What's other news?
that's been happening.
Oh, there was a shooting in Colorado. I don't know if we discussed that.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, I did see that. I had a lot of my choir director, he did his doctorate at Boulder University, so he lived there for a long time. He was really, really upset about this, about what happened recently. I mean, everybody's upset, but like when it's happening in your hometown or something like that, you know, it's hard to not just be overwhelmed.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely.
It's a
Yeah.
big fucking mess.
Well, into I guess lighter news, not really.
No.
We're gonna share personal haunting instances. I don't know if it's because I had popped a Xanax and I was I was 16 in high school marching band, but my mom had just gone to jail
Hashtag swag.
and I had all my stuff moved into the band hall because I was homeless, and then all the kids moved it into the trash locker because they thought it was just junk. So I was having a bad day, and then we went.
What the fuck?
And then we went to marching band rehearsal, and I'm on the field, you know, and I look up in the stands, and I swear to frickin' God, I saw my mom. I was like,
Really?
"Whoa, Debbie K, is that you?" And then I rushed off the field into the stands, like mid movement, and my mom was not there, and my band director yelled at me.
Frank Foster. Can we say on the podcast, fuck Frank
It wasn't
Foster?
him. It was, I don't even remember his name. It was at Springtown, but
I'm keeping it in.
that was depressing. I don't know if that was just me losing my marbles or
No.
ghost astral projection, Debbie. Coming to
Been
haunt
weirder.
me.
Yeah. No, I mean, weirder things have happened, dude, honestly. There's some times where you just see things you can't explain, and that a lot of people think ghost, and they're, you know, some like something in a like a white sheet floating thing with chains and going like I always do to be stupid, just woo. But you know, they come in many types and forms, and with different meanings and even cultural meanings and stuff. You know,
Maybe that was supposed to mean that she's gonna like haunt me forever. But
she's like, "I'm gonna get you, bitch."
I changed my number, so not anymore.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I talked about one of my hauntings on a different episode, so I'll skip that one. But the other one, I already told Andy about this. It didn't make it into that one episode. I had an aunt that struggled with her health mentally in a lot of ways. She had some, I don't know if it was autism, you know, like
Just
maybe,
some sort of, yeah.
but we were sitting at dinner one night, and she turned to look at the living room, and she started screaming. And she said, "They're on fire! They're on fire! Get out! Get them out of here! Get them out of here!" And we asked her what she was talking about, and she says there were circus people, and they were just skeletons in like circus attire on fire in the living room. And I hope they're still not there.
I hope their circus has moved on.
Yeah, but that was something that's kind of stayed with me.
I can imagine.
God, I wouldn't even know where to begin because I think I remember saying it's so specific, you know? Like somebody couldn't just make that up, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I think she really saw it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that was probably an authentic reaction. It sounds so real, even though what's happening doesn't sound real, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But that's one of my stories. There you go.
What do you think, Kaila? I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Flaming Circus People?
No, I'm thinking what that even
What it could signify.
Yeah, it's got me stumped, and I've had quite a bit of experience with this type of stuff, and I'm not other than like if there was a circus there that had burned down in the past, which would make sense. I don't know where your aunt lives.
It was in
Or-
San Antonio.
That would make sense depending on where it's at.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's the only thing I can really think of.
I mean, San Antonio in itself is basically a circus on fire, so.
And we were all its monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
Also on fire. Dang, yeah, San Antonio's full of hauntings, man. So that ghost tour we went to, that haunting tour, I love it. Oh man. Even Bernie too. Bernie has some really haunted places. That Kenwood Inn was on like a ghost hunting TV show. I can't remember what exactly if it was Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures. But
was that that creepy, like, colonial style place that was downtown?
Inn. Yeah.
Yeah. Never went inside. Gave me bad vibes.
There's another building in town too that I really wanted to check out. Do you know where El Chaparral used to be?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a tunnel system that used to run through Bernie that they collapsed most of when they built the town more into the 21st century. There was a tunnel that was running between the buildings across the street in El Chaparral's building. When they collapsed that tunnel, they started getting a lot of activity in El Chaparral. Like, hold on, stop. Getting a lot of activity, such as you'd have tables flipping in the middle of the night. You'd have chairs thrown when you come back the next morning. No one really liked to stay past closing, especially past 9:30 was just kind of like a no-go.
Wow.
Yeah, talked to one of the ex-servers there once because I was really curious and I wanted to poke around.
I didn't like it. I didn't like going there.
What's up with old towns with, like, that's a dumb thing to say, old towns. Anyways, what's up with towns and old tunnel systems? Because when I lived in San Angelo, there was a tunnel system there.
Really?
And I swear it went from, like, a bank to a brothel.
There was a
And I
purpose.
think
there was a purpose for that. No, you're good. You're good. You say that again. I'm gonna think she missed it.
Oh, there was an old tunnel system in San Angelo, and some of the places it connected was a bank and a brothel. And I don't understand.
Run the money to the Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
The brothel owners were funneling their money directly into the bank.
Yeah.
Ooh. Laundering.
Laundry. They're doing laundry in the tunnels. Beware the downy.
I just watched Breaking Bad and then Ozark, so now
really?
I know what laundering is. I can't shut up about it.
I've never watched either of those. Andrew read everything about Breaking Bad and then spoiled it for himself in like 2 seconds. So
it's still worth the watch.
It is?
Yes, it's freaking nuts.
Dang. Have you seen it, Kaila?
No, Houston watched the entirety of it, but I never got a chance to because I am horrible at sitting down and finishing things.
I feel that. I have to take my phone with me while I'm watching something. Otherwise, I can't sit down in one place for very long.
Wow, the youth crippled by technology can't even sit down and take a moment to enjoy me. I don't know.
I am older than you.
Back in my day, we used to. What did we do?
We played with rocks and sticks, and
we ate dirt for fun, and we liked it. Some old man stupid shit like that.
You ever craved the taste of mud?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I've had that.
Like real nice looking mud.
Because it looks like a chocolate.
Oh.
This monkey brain goes chocolate. Dirt, ground, earth, chocolate.
Want mud taste. Taste earth.
We're just going
Does that
back.
mean you have like an iron deficiency?
Yeah, that's also why you want chocolate, I've heard. Yeah. Especially biological females or anybody who menstruates typically will have an iron deficiency because of good old Mother Nature.
Fair enough.
That's why women eat dirt. I don't know if that's a stereotype, but
it's a big secret.
2021, women eat dirt.
Doctors hate women. I mean, that's just true, but not because.
Yeah, Riley's not home right now, so before we logged on here, it's kind of dark. I went outside and shoveled some mud into my mouth. I knew the sprinkler system had just gone off. It was the perfect time.
Easy access. Scoop it out with a spoon.
There's a 10.
Shovel it straight in. Oh man, I still even though you say those weren't big deals, I don't know, man. I still would be freaked out if one of my relatives was pointing at something I couldn't see.
Yeah, a
You
little
know?
bit.
Or if I saw my mother, knowing that my mother is not there, but it feels like the realest thing that's ever happened to me, I wouldn't know what to do, you know? That's still mind-boggling. What about you, Kaila? Any stories you want to share with everybody?
So I have a few. I've actually had the pleasure of speaking with Lorraine Warren. Ed had passed by that time, so
Wow.
just to give a little bit of
Who
backstory,
is
I guess.
Lorraine Warren?
So Ed and Lorraine Warren were actually one of the top demonologist teams in the United States and also the world for a while,
Oh, wow.
primarily
Mhm.
functioning in the 70s and 80s. They're the reason why you have movies like Amityville Horror and The Conjuring
So,
and Annabelle. Some of the more recent incidences were, let's see, I had a couple of friends spending the night and we started just kind of feeling off. Anyone who's really any sort of sensitive when they come into that house, they feel some sort of oppressive force. It's almost immediate. But you just kind of feel off for a little bit, and then we were actually about to walk inside and a door slammed in my friend's face. No wind. There was no wind, there was no one inside. No animals, nothing.
Man.
So we went inside afterwards and we're like, okay, went into a room and her hair had been pulled. You could actually see the hair stand up from her head and pull back. It
same
was
friend?
Same friend.
Jeez.
They got a
It was
grudge on
pretty
their
wild.
friend.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're like, we don't like this hoe.
Yeah. So we decided we were going to leave at that point and go to a different friend's house that was only like 2 doors down. And as soon as we exited the front door, the curtains parted with no one behind them and then shut.
Said, bye, bitch, and just closed
Ew.
the curtain.
Oh, I also forgot to mention a different friend was scratched.
Oh no.
And I don't know if you guys know any paranormal trivia. Not to step on this, Allison. I can save it if you'd like.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So scratches in pairs of threes are usually considered that of an oppressive spirit, or usually some people would say demonic. And she was scratched in a pattern of 3. There were many instances in that house that things were marred and scratched in patterns of 3.
What's significant about the 3 pattern?
Supposedly it's a mock of the Holy Trinity.
Oh, I see. Right, because it's like half. Because it's the devil's number, it's half. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then it's also mocking the Trinity too.
Gotcha. Dang,
Yeah.
man.
And that was just one of the recent stories too. There's lots of stuff has happened.
What else? Keep going. We're here.
Okay.
We're ready for it. This is the time.
So I was actually sitting in my bedroom one time, probably back in 2009, 2010, 2009, in this house, and my dog, that feeling where it's almost like the shadows become heavier. It's just all of a sudden everything is just very small and you're suffocating and it's like you're waiting for it to spring. Sounds crazy. My dog got tossed across my room.
Like,
physically 2 feet off the ground, thrown across my room.
Well, not to be like super, I guess, sensitive subject, not to interrupt you either, but that kind of the feeling you're describing makes me think of the feeling when I was wiping the saliva from my grandpa's mouth as he passed away. The room I was with family. He was like in hospice care in the living room, and the air was thick. Everything was so heavy, like you could feel that he had left.
I would imagine in a place like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was the same house where my aunt saw those circus people. So
Dang, man.
That's a sign then.
Probably. That's crazy.
anyways, continue. Sorry to interrupt you. I hadn't ever heard that like described before, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're
Outside
good.
of my head.
Yeah.
So another thing that had happened was after she'd been thrown, we left the room, and it's a room with a hallway and then the living room. And my room was kind of towards the end of the hallway. So I'm out in the living room, like, told my mother at the time, because I was just a teenager, I was like, hey, this just happened. I'm freaked out. Please sleep in the living room with me tonight. And she was like, okay, fine, we can do that. And so I'm on one couch, she's on the other. And then we have a third couch for our 2 dogs.
Mhm.
And we have tile flooring. So I'm laying on my couch at night. It's about 3 in the morning because I look up and I can see the TV's little number. And I hear click, 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 click down the hall. The sound of nails on tile walking from my bedroom to the couch. And I was like, I've got to be dreaming. This is a dream. And I look over, and I've either got to be dreaming or it's one of the dogs. And so I look over to the other couch, and both dogs are sitting there, just staring down the hall. And I'm like, okay, this is not fun. I'm covering my head now. Mom's still asleep. Click, 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 stops in front of my couch. I hear sniffing and then a low growl. And then the clicking runs back down the hallway towards my room.
I don't like.
And I was like, okay.
I don't like.
At 3.
That.
3.
3, 3, 3, 3.
Yeah, so in the next morning when I woke up, the couch had a claw mark through the leather. And it counted to
Ew.
3.
I don't like that. I do not like that.
Wait, when is like the witching hour?
Usually the highest activity is around 3 a.m.
Oh, so that
3:33 being specific.
Mm-hmm.
damn.
I always wake up at 3. Always. Sometimes specifically at 3:33, and I'm like, okay, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be involved in
Angel
anything.
numbers.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be when the time that the veil is thinnest
Yeah.
between this world and the next. So everything is more active at that time. Not just the bad stuff.
Even the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is irrelevant and off. I'm sorry, I keep interjecting
Do it.
dumb bullshit.
Throw it.
This chilada is making me fucking crazy.
Those are so good, dude.
They're really good. But when I was little, someone told me that if it's like a cloudy day, Mildred just fell off the table. Girl! You're a clutch
Mildred,
baby.
No.
Oh, I love her so
Ah,
much.
burns.
Is she okay?
She's okay. It was just very ungraceful.
Poor Mildred.
Poor baby.
She's an old baby. But anyways, I was told that if you look up in the sky and you see like a ray of light shining down, you know, they're called like God rays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was told that means that someone is dying and their soul is being like carried up.
Like, you remember when we saw This Is the End?
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do.
Has anyone else ever heard that, or is my life just stupid?
Well, I don't think your life is stupid, but I've never heard that.
I've heard it's God peeking down at you, but I've never heard that it was people dying and their souls ascending.
What you doing there, fellers?
No. Well, yeah, except I grew up Southern Baptist, so of course it was God's always watching you sin.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like the Eye of Sauron, but it's God.
Well, I remember like being really young and they were like, God's always watching. And I was like, does he watch me in the shower? Gross. And then they were like, no. He's not a pervert. He looks away.
Oh my gosh. No, he's not a pervert.
Oh, so I can do whatever the fuck I want in the shower then, right? Oh, I'm getting the needles.
God doesn't judge. He's not a judger, per se. He's got a bad rep for being a judger.
He's just disappointed in you.
Right? The ultimate dad cop-out. I'm just disappointed.
Oh.
I'm not mad. Don't be sorry. Be better.
Be better.
Anyways, please continue.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're good. Another time. So I spilled a little bit too much about the types of dreams I was having to my therapist, and he took it the wrong direction, my therapist at the time,
Eesh.
and decided that I was a demonic entity inhabiting a human shell.
What?
Yeah. So he reported me to the archdiocese of the area as a pre-biblical entity. And
I want that on my driver's license.
Right.
What's my
During
gender?
this, I was put through an investigation, which is how I had the pleasure of meeting Lorraine Warren. And it seemed like anytime they would start trying to advance this investigation, the activity would increase in the house. And they would aggravate whatever was there. And so there was one time where my younger sibling had actually walked into their bedroom, and it was literally a half beat and just a shriek. We, of course, went to go, ran in, what's wrong, what's wrong? It was as if they had been mauled in their genital area. We actually had to take them to the ER.
God, that's awful.
That's fucked.
Not the only one that's been attacked. I've been scratched multiple times. I actually have a scar from one incident with my childhood, I guess what you would call an imaginary friend
Oh no.
that occasionally would interact with other people that I named Maff, or at least that's what he said his name was, which
Interesting.
later was Mafel.
Aha, interesting. That makes a lot more sense.
There was also one time when I was about 4. Again, that long hallway. At the very end of the hallway was a bathroom. And in that bathroom, we had, of course, like a towel rack, a wall-length mirror on one side, and just a couple of reflective fixtures. It was the 90s. So I evidently would play in there with a dog I would see in the reflections named Sparkles. Oh, that's bringing me back to that dog story. Ooh, I just connected a dot. Ooh. At one point, I came running down the hall to my mother. Like, I don't remember this. She had to tell me the story. And I was like, Mom, Sparkles growled at me. And she was like, okay, let me go check, sweetie. Just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Let me console my child. So she walks into the bathroom. She's like, Sparkles, did you growl at her? And then just echoed growling.
He's like,
and she's like, nope, but shuts the door and takes off. It was just like, yeah, I'm not handling that right now.
Good Lord.
Jesus.
That is
yeah,
wild.
that house is a sink for negative energy, and it has been confirmed as such.
I can tell you, I felt that immediately when I went over to your house. I remember we were just chilling out in your room, and I did go to that bathroom, and I remember just like looking at myself in the mirror, being like, and probably the mirror was the problem, but I was just like, something's not okay. But I just, it's my first time spending the night at Kayla's house. Sometimes people just get weirded out from the first night. But I was definitely glad that we were bunking together when the sun went down, because as soon as it was dark outside, and your room was pretty like positive. You had the sea stuff all over the place. It was upbeat, but God, that didn't matter after 10 p.m.
No, it doesn't.
It was exactly the feeling you described of just being like pushed down and just being like, why is it hard to breathe?
Well,
I was born in the darkness. I didn't lie today till I was a man.
Another weird instance when I was at your house is I got on my phone and suddenly the news broke about Giovanna Plowman, the girl that ate her tampon.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I went to your house.
That was the ghost.
I think that triggered that event.
A center for negative energy. That was the most negative thing to ever happen to me, was another woman eating her own tampon.
That's a pretty negative thing to happen, I'm not gonna lie.
God, that's awful.
It's a vampire teabag.
Oh, no. I don't like that.
That's sexy.
Like no,
it's
so not.
Sexy. Yeah, it is.
You take that back.
Take it where?
You want me to take this? Take it where? Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you guys post on YouTube, so I gotta watch my language.
No, I'll just do a clown honking over
I
it.
cuss all the time. It's still there.
Take it up the ass.
Once we get more viewers,
We're not
our
care.
shit's gonna get like canned probably. But
Probably. Well, I have been to a lot of haunted places. I don't have an extensive list of experience. A lot of what I have experienced, and Alice and I have, we talked about this on another part of an episode that got cut out because of Craig, our recording bot. But a lot of it happened when I was young. My cousins and I would always talk to our parents and aunts and uncles and my grandfather at the time about seeing my grandmother. But she had died when I was 3 years old. I don't have very many memories of her due to that. But apparently, and this was all told after the fact, that so many times my younger cousins and I would just randomly talk about seeing her or interacting with her or just mention her at all, just saying grandma. But because there was no other grandmother, because this was just my mom's side of the family, who are we talking about, you know? There's a lot of funny little instances all spread out the family. So I'll try to hit up as many of the ones I remember. Oh, what's up?
Just quick thing, as soon as you started talking about your grandmother, on my end, your screen just went green.
Really?
Oh,
when
yeah.
you were talking,
they're frozen on my end too.
Oh, really? When
Doing
you were
this.
talking, oh shit. When you were talking, Kaila, I started hearing like a lower tone to your voice, like almost the whole time. I don't know if the recording got any of that, but
I'll check my
Are we
recording
just-
too.
Are we just throwing insults at each other at this point?
you're just a bitch. Your screen is frozen.
You're stinky. You're back.
You smell bad.
Pirates are
you-
mean.
You smell bad.
I'm calling my mother.
I am telling God. I think that's a Reddit called I'm Telling God. I love that Reddit. It's just people like putting ketchup on their mac and cheese or some shit. You know what I mean? I'm calling God. This is
Have you ever
too
seen
far.
a Rhode Island pizza?
No. What the hell
It
is
is
that?
cheese with marinara topping.
That is not of God.
That is
It's-
not a
But
pizza.
it's this thick marinara.
Have y'all seen the
How?
kiwi pizza?
No.
There's like pizza with kiwi on it now.
Pizza?
Pizza?
That sounds like a name.
Pizza.
Pizza.
Wait, Allison, I tell the story all the time, but didn't your sister go to school with a girl named Velveeta?
Yes, my niece did.
Cool with a girl named Velveeta.
All these years later, I swear to God, like 10 years later, I'm just like, how's Velveeta doing? And she's like, I don't freaking know. She transferred.
We checked
Listen.
my cabinet.
You know somebody named Velveeta, that just doesn't go away. They're named after a cheese. It's not even real cheese, it's melty cheese.
My least favorite kind.
Really? You don't like melted cheese?
I do, but not Velveeta. Velveeta.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
too much.
Velveeta.
It's kind of plastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my god, Andrew just screamed Velveeta and scared the shit out of me. You can just leave it cracked.
Just because he's a quarter of a century old
Leave it
almost.
crack.
He thinks he's big things.
I know, because he's almost 25. He thinks he can just scream Velveeta in the middle of my recording. He can, and I'll keep it in probably.
Good.
Yeah, it's basically like all of our family gatherings would basically be like, oh, what do the kids say next, you know? And then the aunts and uncles just talking about their own little experiences. But I remember one time, it didn't even happen to me. It happened to my cousin. He had all of these little toys. And they were the baby toys, that sort of the educational ones. And they had just like a bin of them. I feel like every 90s kid just had like a bin of toys. That was literally just like a giant Tupperware. It was just,
Yes.
you know, instead of like an actual shelving thing or anything, it was just a big Tupperware. And in one of them was a little speech thing that had different words for shapes. So one side had triangle, circle, square, all of that. One had colors, and one had like family members. Alphonse, leave it. Lay down. Sorry. Get over here.
Hey, lay down. Hey, get down.
Come here. Come here. Come on, Bubba.
Sit.
Down. Good, Allison. He heard you. You did a good job. Yeah, and this is the Hispanic side of the family, and that'll get important in just a second. But my uncle is sitting in the living room watching TV. It's like 10 o'clock at night. All the kids are asleep already because they're only like 4 or 5, so they're in bed already. And he's just watching TV, and from the bottom of the toy box, he starts hearing, and the thing starts lighting up. He's like, what the hell is it saying? And he's digging the toys out. He's like, oh, the toys maybe shifted, maybe hit a button or whatever. He's digging the toys out, and he gets the thing, and it's going, it makes me laugh when I think about it, because it's going, triangulo, triangulo. It's just saying triangle in Spanish over and over again. And he's like, what? This must be busted. So he goes to pick it up. And when he picks it up, you know what it says? Abuela. he dropped that shit. He was like, ah!
Ew.
Yeah, I always think it's funny though. Just imagine, like, that stupid movie about like a tire.
She's screwing with him hard.
You're gonna see a pattern in these stories. That's the stupid movie like Rubber. That's about a tire. I just imagine like a similar horror movie about a tire that kills people. It's called Rubber.
Oh my god.
You didn't know about that?
No, I didn't.
Oh man. Yeah, it's called Rubber, and it's just silly, but it would be like that, like a talking toy. It just starts. It's saying triangle, and then it's just saying like death, murder, the blood of the innocent, and it just gets like more and more intense as the movie goes on. But yeah, that was one thing. One of the stories we had. I also told Allison this one before, but my mother would tell me that her mother wasn't fond of alcohol. She really didn't like for Grandpa to drink. And after she had passed, apparently at Grandpa's house, he had this big rock wall in the living room, and it had all of our family photos on it. It was really beautifully decorated every Christmas. I only have fond memories of him and of being there, And my mother tells me about, I don't know if I was there when this happened, but how Grandpa decided to have a glass of wine for the first time in a very long time. When he did that, all of the paintings and all of the photographs started coming off the walls, just falling for no reason. And Mom always says, she's like, Mama never liked him to drink. She didn't want him to do that, and she was just making herself known. She said, put that away. You are cut off.
That's awesome.
Right?
Your grandma seems to be a really powerful force in your family still.
Yeah, she really was the center of a lot of everything, and that's something that my mom and her siblings would always say. She took care of everybody. She was always in the kitchen cooking something for them. She was always involved in everything that they were doing. And what happened to me personally that I remember, that I have like vague memories of, and it was a story that had to be told. Like, this is something you and your cousin did when you were really younger. But my cousin Joaquin and I are only 6 months apart, so we were pretty tight, and we were the same age, and we were playing make believe. I always liked to be like a spy or something, so we had these Star Trek communicators because his dad loves our whole family loves Star Trek, really, but he had the toys because he was introduced to. Yeah, exactly. But so we had our Star Trek communicators, and we're running around the house. We're hiding around corners. We're spies and whatever. Space spies, apparently. And in the garbled back of my brain, all I can really say is that I have a distinct image of looking out his half-open window and seeing, I don't really know if I saw exactly what my grandmother looked like, but it was like a bluish green shimmery shape, and I don't remember anything interacting with it, but my mother said Joaquin and I came in and we told her and her sister that we had to say goodbye to Grandma, and they were like, what? And they're like, yeah, she was outside the window, so we waved at her. And they were like, what do you mean? She must have just passed the year before, maybe a year or two before. But yeah, that was one of the one times for me personally. I have dealt with some haunting separate from that, but sort of the familial talking about that. Everybody in the family has some sort of story connected to my grandparents in that regard, some sort of interacting with their spirits after they've passed. And I don't know if we have a lot of Mexican culture on my mom's side, and she's even talked about how some of her aunts and were participated in brujeria, and how this is a cool story. So my mom's sister, Julie, she would talk. I don't remember the aunt's name, but my mom. It wasn't Marianne. It was somebody. But it was my mom's aunt, and so Julie was a like fitness person. She's always been really good at sports. She went to be a volleyball coach in the Alamo Heights area, and she was just talking to her aunt, and she was like, "Man, this lady I work with, she's just pissing me off. I don't really like her." And so the aunt is like, "Okay, come here." And so Aunt Julie goes with her, and she gets this like white powder out of a bag, and she puts it on the table. And she tells Julie, "Write the woman's name in the powder." And Julie's like, "What?" She's like, "With your finger, write the woman's name in the powder." Julie was like, "Okay." So she did that. Next day, the lady fell down the stairs and broke both her legs. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm telling the story as it was told to me, but yeah, that's what happened.
I have some stories like that.
Yeah, my family's like
Mm-hmm.
brujeria stories are like I've never gotten into it myself, but I know there's been a lot of eggs under beds.
Oh yeah.
Shit
Eggs rubbing, eggs everywhere. Oh yeah. Hey, I stand by it. I ain't saying shit. You know what I
Same.
mean?
I've got lots of different magics, and that one definitely works.
But and anyway, yeah. With what do their stories have? Do they have a specific like they've done something, Allison?
Me, I don't really know much about it. It's just like my grandma talking shit about like our other relatives, you know? She's like, "Stay away."
I get you.
So,
Stay away from the witches.
but now I'm getting to know them as I'm older, and they're honestly like badass. So,
I wanted to get away from them.
Yeah, exactly.
anyways, shout out to your grandma for being an ever watchful presence.
Right?
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Well,
like,
and
you
then
have a vengeful spirit, but she's just so benevolent.
well. There's another half, because this is my grandmother, and in any interaction where I have interacted with her or felt her presence, I have only ever felt one of two ways. One, extremely protected and comforted at her presence. However, before I tell you the second feeling, I need you to know that she and she knows this, and everybody in the family knows this, was not happy that my mom chose to marry a white man. She
True.
was very true, sister. She was very much against that, and had a hard time accepting that. And there is a joke in the family that she has put a curse on my father.
Oh my god.
However, there have been times where I have felt like, oh, this is a familiar presence, but it ain't friendly. From the time I was 10 to like 13, would have recurring nightmares involving her, actually. And I don't know if that's just a manifestation of that in the back of my mind, like, she's cursed my dad. I'm half my dad. Oh my god. You know? But it's either one of two. It's either feeling very protected and like welcoming. Like, I didn't feel threatened, obviously, by interacting with her as a child, if that's what happened. But there are some times where I was like, and you know, when they describe her that way, very strong and independent and comforting and a family person, but she can be very, very intense in a heartbeat. And I don't know if that's also just reflected in her spirit. But this sort of gets into where I talk about my other experiences with things I can't really explain. But in that same time period where I was having those nightmares, there was one where and this was the house we first lived in when I moved to Bernie. It was a smaller house, and this was right before my brother was born. My brother was born when I was in 5th grade. So this is when I first moved to Bernie, and I was doing 4th grade with you, Allison, and we were actually in the same school, in the same class. And the layout of our house at the time, you walked in the front hallway, and there's a front hall closet. And I never really felt weird about that room until I had this nightmare. And in the nightmare, I went around through the kitchen, and as soon as I went through the kitchen to the dining room, this towel lifted up and like shot into the hall door and opened it. And I felt a force like shove me in there and then lock me in the closet. And I remember feeling so overwhelming upset. I mean, that sounds scary enough just to have as a bad dream. And I wake up in my room terrified at that. And I look over. At the time, every kid sleeps with their bed like up, pressed up into the corner. You never do that as an adult now. I feel like when I was Kayla's like, no, my bed's in the corner. I don't mean to be insulting. I'm just like, as for me personally, when I was a kid, it didn't matter where my bed was. But now I'm like, if I don't have a nightstand on either side, I'm going to kill somebody. You know what I mean?
I don't blame you. It's all for space here.
True. And yeah, this bed is just on the ground, up against a corner, as I say. But I was wrapped up with my comforter, and I look across my room, and I always fell asleep to a movie or something because I have a problem with silence. I don't like silence. And I see the remote at the end of the table shift and like switch to the opposite way that it was facing. And I'm like, okay, I'm like half asleep and I had a bad dream. Maybe this is just not what's happening and I should just chill out. So I try to get up, and the best way I can describe what happened is as I turned around, the light from the TV cast a shadow, and I could see myself getting up. But then the comforter started lifting like something else was picking it up. It wasn't just my arm. And I just screamed and ran out of the room. And my mom screamed. She heard me. She screamed. She came out in the hallway. I could not be consoled. I was so upset. And for the rest of the time we lived in that house, I could not open that hall closet. I wouldn't go near it. I could barely walk past it. And when I was home alone, I did not look at it. I did not go near it. I avoided it like, I won't say like the plague because of what's happening right now. But
well, hey, we are avoiding it, right?
Yeah, we're doing it on Zoom. We're avoiding it. But yeah, it really freaked me out. And the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, my mother and all of her relatives have always described my grandmother's presence as very stern and kind of like old school of Hard Knocks, especially with the Latina background. It's usually harsh truths and honestly physical abuse. And I don't know if there was something in that closet and she just tried to scare the shit out of me and was like, look, you ain't better open that thing or else, or I don't know if it was some separate negative entity, but I could not, you could not ask me to hang anything in that hall closet. I would just tell my parents no. And they would be like, okay, well, they had the nightmare, so they probably are just freaked out about that. But like, even, we lived in that house for 2 more years after that, and I still could not just go anywhere near that closet.
Damn.
I didn't like it. The last thing I would say that I experienced personally, besides just, I've been, like I said, been to haunted places, I've felt things or whatever, but Ryan, his house is actually really, really active for that kind of spirit stuff, and we would ghost hunt a lot. We would be kind of little dumb kids about it, but his mom has an EMF reader, has a it's not a spirit box, but it's some other frequency.
Oculus?
I think so. It's some sort of frequency thing.
Instead of actually doing static, it just gives you the words on a screen?
Yes.
Dude, those are so nice. I want one. That's awesome.
This was like 10 years ago, so I don't know how good it was, but I'm sure now they probably are like amazing. But anytime I was over there after, and in the evening or afternoon, it was always just, I like the same uncomfortable feeling, you know? Oh, we have Mildred. Hi, Mildred. Hello. She says, hi, mama. Yeah, just bad feelings. And I remember one time we were playing video games or something, and I was going to get up to go to the bathroom, and his door was cracked open, because, you know, this is the you first start dating somebody when you're like 12 and 13, 14. They're like, you better leave that door open. You know? So the door's cracked all the way open, and it just started closing, and then it stopped. And we were both just like, oh my God, what just happened? He tried to play it off like, oh, it's probably the air. And I was like, I don't think the air conditioning can like move something and then stop it. You know, because if it was flowing, it would just keep going until it was shut. But so that happened. There was a lot of times where we would hear slams or rustling and things like that, especially at night. And we would be like, everybody's asleep, or there's nobody else out here. What's going on? And one time when we did an actual ghost hunt with his mom, we went to the master bedroom, is where the main activity center was, and we were all sitting in the master bedroom, and his mom has the EMF, which, as we know, since we are phasmophobia connoisseurs, when it triggers the or when it feels the energy, it will start beeping. And so she's just asking a bunch of questions, you know, if there's anything here, you know, make yourself known, all of those beginner sort of things. And every once in a while we get a beep, you know, just at like a minimal level, just beep. And then we started asking it to do specific things, you know, to try to see if it was not going to get more intense unless we up the ante as well. So we were like, okay, do one knock if you can hear us. And we didn't hear anything. So you're like, okay, do two knocks. And we hear. And we were looking up at the ceiling for where we heard it from. And we were like, okay, let's think about this. They live in the hill country. They have an outdoor place with some acreages. They have 6 wild cats. There's squirrels everywhere. Maybe something jumped on the roof or whatever. So then Ryan's mom was like, okay, we're going to wait a second. Okay. Now I'm going to ask it again, because she was the one who was the biggest medium. She would always tell me I had all of this psychic energy and all this stuff. But she had it a lot in her, and she really believed in it a lot. So she would lead these things. And same thing, you know, if you're here, knock again. And it took a little bit, but we heard. And again, we were like, you know, like, oh shit, that's cool. Because it was during the daytime. Now, we tried to repeat this at night. And I tell you, there is a big difference when you're asking and the sun's out and you can see that everything is fine. And then when you are asking at 10 p.m. at night, you start to feel pretty alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pressure gets on. There's a reason your sanity goes down in phasmophobia when you're in the dark. You know, it's like I had to stop. I had to stop because I was getting so overwhelmed with just bad feelings. And honestly, Bernie, any sort of like town like that has some shady history, has some like bad blood in the spiritual realm. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, the Bernie Town Killers
the
or whatever.
BT blood. That was so dumb. Literally so dumb. It's the whitest town in the universe.
What did they do? Harass geese or something?
You get back here.
Tag the geese.
Tag the geese. See graffiti on geese. It's called geese.
Oh my god.
Graffiti.
Some other local places in town. The library. Do you remember, Kaila? Do you remember?
I actually played around in the bathroom at the library with a friend of mine, and
I was with you one time.
Me?
I think. Who was I with? Maybe it wasn't you, Kaila, but we were in the parking lot, by the library, and there was rose petals and water.
Yeah, that was me. That was me.
It was you?
Yeah. I remember it because it was the Valentine's something. I think. Right? Am I crazy? Am I merging all of our high school timelines into one?
I don't frickin' know, man.
I might be doing
Oh
that.
yeah, because this was like back in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a while. No, that library was haunted as shit, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard, but thank y'all for sharing your stories.
Absolutely.
Is anybody down to discuss some factoids? Some creepy factoids? I'm sure y'all.
I'm down for some factoids.
Oh my god,
Could you even hear any word of that?
barely. I'm sure y'all probably already know all this because y'all are smart and into this stuff. But my Google Doc, creepy facts I found on Reddit. To deal with all the people guillotines during the French Revolution, the government allowed for their bodies to be skinned, and for that skin to be tanned and made into various things like boots, pants, and jackets. It was said that a man's skin was preferred for fashion because a woman's was too soft to be useful.
Whoa.
Oh my god, why? What kind of logic is that?
This isn't my handbag. This is my man bag.
This is my man bag.
Well, and okay, granted I wasn't alive during then, and maybe it's because I've played guitar since I was 15, but we were playing Heads Up 7 Up during one of my classes because we had finished a test, and I had my thumb up, I was on the table, and this girl came and she put my thumb down, and then she went to the front of the classroom, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I fucked up that story because I forgot how you played it. I went and I picked her, and I put her thumb down, and I went to the front of the classroom, and then she was like, well, I know whoever picked me was a man because their hands were rough.
What?
I have a similar story to that. We had to do White Elephant in theater, and I think it was my junior year. No, it was my sophomore year, and I didn't have any wrapping paper to wrap mine with, and I didn't have a chance to go get a gift because my parents wouldn't take me. So I went to the freaking like gas station across the road and wrapped it in paper, and everyone was like, "Oh, this had to be from a man."
Oh my god.
You're like, I tried my best.
Jeez. Classist.
Am I right, fellas? Is it gay to wrap things in paper?
Yes.
The next fact. The bobbit worm is a predatory worm that lives in corals. It can grow up to 10 feet long, and their jaws can chew through coral. They come from eggs, which can be dormant in corals you buy for fish tanks and such. They are next to invincible, and on top of strong jaws, they can slice a femur in half. They are covered in venomous spines. So, literally out of nowhere, these things can appear in your saltwater fish tank, and it's virtually impossible to kill them, and they will chew tunnels through all your coral and slice your fish in half. Not to mention, they're polychaetes, so if you do somehow manage to slice the head off of it or something, it will just grow a new head, and the head will grow a new body, and they'll mate and make more worms.
Oh,
Yep. Polychaete worms.
You ever mate with your own decapitated head? Because I have, brother.
Oh.
Good lord, that's terrifying. Why would I ever get a saltwater tank now?
A whole new level of skull fucking.
Oh my god, Kaila, no!
They are freaking terrifying. Here's one I'm sure y'all know and don't want to think about. Bed mattresses gain weight over time.
I don't like that. It's from my
dump truck ass.
I was gonna say it's my big juicy ass.
Tarantulas migrate in swarms up to tens of thousands.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I don't believe. I don't want to believe.
Well, I can say that I know this for a fact because 2 summers ago, I was driving through West Texas, And they're out here, and through the highway, I swear to God, I counted 60 tarantulas crossing the road as I was driving.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep.
Dang.
They could just be one mass. They could work together.
Become one big person.
Hello, I'd like to go to the movie theater. Here is my $2. Yeah, exactly.
Why do you have like 6,000 eyes, man?
Sorry, it is 2021. I do not have to answer that.
There are more bacteria and assorted non-human cells inside your body than there are cells carrying your DNA. And when you die, they don't die. Just the opposite. After they lower you into the ground, for months your body can look forward to being more alive than ever.
What?
Fair enough.
How and why, and also how, and then get to the why.
Our gut biota.
The body of David Sharp still sits in a cave at the top of Mount Everest. David attempted the climb in 2005 and near the top stopped in this cave to rest. His body eventually froze in place, rendering him unable to move. Over 30 climbers passed by him as he sat freezing to death. Some heard faint moans and realized he was still alive. They stopped and spoke with him. He was able to identify himself but was unable to move. Brave climbers moved him into the sun in an attempt to thaw him, but eventually, realizing David would be unable to move, were forced to leave him to die. His body still sits in the cave and is used as a guide point for other climbers nearing the summit.
Good God! That's
they call it the Rainbow Cemetery.
Really? Wow.
Because there's so many brightly colored suits of people that have died trying to scale the mountain.
God, why? Why do people try? It's not safe. It's not safe. Why are you doing it?
You've done it.
But you
Just
can't
to say you've done it.
Oh.
Yeah. The entire universe outside our galaxy could have completely disappeared over 20,000 years ago, and we still wouldn't know it yet. Our view of the universe is actually what it looked like anywhere from thousands of billions of years ago, with no way to see what it actually looks like right now. Imagine if you looked out your front window and saw your yard as it was 6 months ago, neighbor's house across the street a year ago, and houses a block or two away as they were several years ago. Also, off in the distance, you can see the glaciers from the last ice age. That's what it's like looking out at the universe.
Holy crap.
And the very, 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 very end.
Oh man, that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable.
I never thought about it in that like stretching way of like I could just look over there and I could be like, oh, there's the Crusades, there's World War I, you know.
Keep me up in the nighttime.
Literally, I know, save. It's like
The animal that tastes closest to human is pork. So much that human flesh, in areas where cannibalism occurs, is referred to as the long pork.
You mean the Donner Party?
Yeah.
I resent that remark.
Donner
As a relative.
Oh yeah. Did I tell you that, Allison?
What?
Go tell her.
I'm actually a relative to the Donner Party, one of the surviving members.
We did an episode. Holy shit!
Saw.
We did an episode on your family.
I'm sorry if we offended you.
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
The part where they hate everybody.
They did. And that's the thing too, is they thought they were dying of starvation when it was really hypothermia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sea cucumbers have teeth in their ass to prevent pearlfish from sneaking in there and eating their balls.
Oh, I need some of those.
That whole sentence is just
I want that.
Don't eat my balls. I need teeth in my asshole.
Imagine spending your evolution points on ass teeth. Am I right?
Vagina dentata.
Literally, teeth.
Elmer McCurdy was a failed Old West outlaw. His preserved body was put on display in a traveling carnival, and years later he was eventually assumed to be a mannequin until he was used on the set for the TV show The $6 Million Man. His arm accidentally fell off during the shoot, revealing bone and muscle and that he was a corpse, not a mannequin. Police were called and the mummified corpse was taken to the Los Angeles coroner's office. On December 9th, Dr. Joseph Choi conducted an autopsy and determined that the body was that of a human male who had died of a gunshot wound to the chest. The body was completely petrified, covered in wax, and had been covered with layers of phosphorus paint. It weighed approximately 50 pounds and was 63 inches in height. Some hair was still visible on the sides and the back of the head, while the ears, big toes, and fingers were missing. The examination also revealed incisions from his original autopsy and embalming. Tests conducted on the tissue showed the presence of arsenic, which was a component of the embalming fluid until the late 1920s. So for anyone wondering how they didn't know the corpse was real, it was because it was a corpse covered in wax to look like a wax dummy.
And filled with arsenic.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine? You just and you're like, that's gotta smell bad also.
Well, if it's mummified, mummies don't really
Right.
have much to smell, but it's more of an earthy tone.
True, you'd be right.
The FBI says statistically there are 50 serial killers in the U.S. at all times.
Oh, got it.
I'm one of them.
Oh!
I kill cereal all the time.
This is the last and most horrifying little factoid. The 90s started over 30 years ago.
Stop it!
Ah!
You are fired! You're fired. Oh my god.
4 years, baby.
Here's the creepiest factoid. I haven't pooped since yesterday, fellas.
Whoa.
I was gonna do that, like, the few trivia questions, but this episode is so long, I think we're good.
Yeah.
We're over an hour. We're just having a good time.
Yeah, we're good.
We're definitely great. We should probably get off, though, because Kaila has to serve our country at 5 a.m.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
thank you for your spooky stories.
Yes! I'm so glad you're able to be on the show. And yeah, sometimes shit happens and we don't have an explanation for it. We just got to talk about it here.
Sounds good to me. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.